Welcome to PCWizkid's Tech Talk. Today I wanted to talk about the new Diamond HD4670 1GB version video card. This is part of my tutorials on building a performance gaming PC. Now if you're on a budget and you can't afford to buy an expensive video card, one of the most recent ones, this HD4670 from Diamond was released last year as a 512 meg version, but now they have a 1GB version. Now it has the RV730 GPU with 320 stream processors, and of course it's a little bit smaller and it's going to use less energy, so 6.6 inches long. You're going to see when I put it in the case that it doesn't actually use the full length, and it's only one slot wide. Now the fan here and the heatsink that it comes with is very effective, okay, in keeping this card cool. You can see here the aluminum heatsink, the fins, and it blows the air out. So that's what you want when you buy a video card, that it blows the air out of the case. Now the other thing to look at here is the crossfire, so you can get up to 4 of these if you have a 790FX motherboard. And here you have the standard DVI outs and the S-Video, and you can obviously have 2560 x 1600 resolution, and the standard 16x 2.0 PCI Express support. If you flip it over to the back, nothing out of the ordinary. You've got the standard screws for the heatsink and the memory modules there for the 1GB. And when you install it, one thing you want to keep in mind here is that you don't need to actually use power connectors, right? Because of the technology that it's using, less energy, it's a smaller card, and it's basically a good budget mainstream card. You're just going to snap it in place and away you go. All you need is a 450 watt power supply minimum and you're set, right? So as you can see here, I just snapped this card in place and we're good to go. So let's take a look here in Windows and see how it's configured and tweak it a little. Okay, so the next thing to do is to boot up, and of course Windows, I'm running Windows Vista Ultimate 64-bit, and it's going to detect it and it's ready for use. So once it detects it, we'll reboot the machine. I have the Catalyst ATI drivers installed, by the way, the 8.12, and I also installed the GPU-Z tool here. And when you launch the GPU-Z tool, it tells you all the details about the card. Okay, so look at this screen here. If you're wondering about certain details, everything is right here on this screen. Okay, the DDR version of the RAM, for example, the clock rate. Obviously I overclocked it a little bit here, and I'm going to show you what I did. I launched the Catalyst utility, the ATI Catalyst driver utility, and went into the overdrive, ATI overdrive section, and through there you can adjust the slider bars here for the GPU clock, or of course the memory clock, and you can also have it auto tune it, so you can have it automatically go through a testing of the card and putting full load on it and figuring out what's the best values, right? So you can try that, right, and adjust it accordingly by going through here. And I have it set to 790 megahertz core GPU clock, and as you can see here, we've got also some memory overclocked. Now there's another utility, the AMD GPU clock tool, which also allows you to increase or decrease the engine core and the memory. Now let's look at some benchmark results here. Okay, so based on what you've seen here, I have a standard test system on the hardware that I've used in the past. I've got different types of games that I've ran. I've got the 3D Mark 06, I've got the 3D Mark Vantage, I've got Fraps. So let's just take a look here at 3D Mark 06, right? Running this at 1024 is not really good enough, so let's run it at 1280 times 1024, and with the optimal settings I get 7964 3D marks. So that 7964 compared to another system, which is a Intel dual-core 2.5 gigahertz with a similar card, but the 512 version gives a score of 7888. So there's a little bit of a performance boost with the system that I have. 3D Mark Vantage gives me that score there, and here's the frames per second that it did, and this is the entry test. Okay, so the entry test settings, and when I compare the entry test settings on 3D Mark Vantage with another system which is similar, an AMD 7750 Black Edition 3 GHz with a similar card, 512 version. I was a little bit higher also. Now, when I run fraps, here are the results for a couple of games, okay, on the frames per second. So we have Mass Effect, for example, 63 frames per second maximum, on average 59. Front Lines, I got 67 frames per second, 63 frames per second average. And Call of Duty, I've got 486 frames per second, and then the average was 89 frames per second. That's an older game, of course. If you're planning on running Crisis, this card might not be enough, but for all your standard games, it's a terrific card. Now, in the box, you also get, of course, the manual. You get the driver CD, of course, and then you get also another CD. This one's the World of Warcraft CD here with the trial, so that you can go online and play for about 30 days. You get also the connectors for the DVI there to VGA if you have an older analog monitor. And of course, you've got some cables, right? The component out for your HD viewing, right? So you can watch HD. And here's an S-Video out, right? So you have that, and a S-Video to RCA connector there. So you can use that one as well, depending on the type of TV that you have. So there's the package. It's a nice little complete package. I definitely liked it for the price. I mean, this card is obviously under $100, so compared to other cards, this is a budget card. You're gonna get a mainstream performance out of it, of course, for the games from 2008. You can play some newer games like I showed you, and I'd like to thank Diamond for providing this card, and I hope you enjoy this video, and thank you.